Hello, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and everything in between. This here was delivered earlier on, and hopefully should be Neil Young's new album. If not, probably shouldn't upload this video. It would make rather little sense. However, we shall endeavour. An unboxing, if you will. So, a rather satisfying tear. Was released on Friday, but not delivered until Monday. I ordered direct from Neil's store. So, being from Neil, probably came by electric car, which slowed it down. So, let's see. Put that down there. Anything else here? No, just a little mailer. There we go. Neil Young. Crazy Horse Barn. No. Is that a hype sticker? Yes, it is a very translucent hype sticker on the front there. The barn in Colorado, where the album was recorded, with the current lineup of Crazy Horse on the back. Usual, just try listing and your logos and whatnot. Anything included in the bump here? WMIS Limited, that's Warner Brothers UK store. Oh, a returns label, wasn't that? And it just in case you hate the album so much you want to return it. Isn't it nice to see that really old Warner's label though? That's pretty nifty. It says it's numbered as well. I didn't know that. Oh yeah. Number 4,713 is that? 4,173 out of 28 million. I don't know. So let's crack it open and have a shoot. Okay. Keep the hype sticker intact. We'll cut it out later. I'm a bit OCD with hype stickers. Now, these big box sets from Neil, be it archive or new ones, tend to follow a similar format, so should be pretty standard. However, nice to see. So we've already seen a front with the inner there, and here's your visit me at neilyoungarchives.com, where you can experience so much more, including thousands of my audio and video recordings, all of the details and memorabilia behind them, and my personally written newspaper, $19.99 per year. Neil Young Archives is actually worth subscribing to. I do myself. They stream lots of unreleased concerts, unreleased albums, and lots of things that don't appear until archives box sets literally years later. So, and then barn photos. See that? I should mention, if you want to buy direct from Neil, Greedy Hand is the name of his shop. Lyric from Razor Love. Greedy Hand, Razor Love from Silver and Gold. So just a few photos from the session. So there's Neil and Crazy Horse at the barn. I'll put it behind us so we're not. A great day, looks like it. Lovely up in Colorado, where he's now living with Daryl Hannah, making a splash. A musical home. So they recorded it in the titular barn, of course. Neil's little rack of guitars. Lovely. He owns, of course, Hank Williams' old guitar, which he sang about on this old guitar on the Prairie Wind album. Le Mobile, which of course he made a whole concept album about, didn't he? What was that? Fork in the Road, 2009. And this one's Untitled, but it's just the band jamming, so there we go. Lovely jubbly. That's nice. A little extra there. And then on to the real deal. So here's your LP. Just exactly the same as the box itself. Unnumbered in this case, because this is the LP as though you were just buying it on its own. So we won't open it up because it's not on silly coloured vinyl or splattered vinyl or, you know, oh, brown vinyl to match the barn. You know, none of that marketing nonsense. It's 180 gram black vinyl, like God and Joe Pesci intended. And here, Le CD, which in the style, again with the hype sticker. He's loving this hype sticker, isn't it, on everything. Basically it's compiling the different versions. There's no difference between this CD and the one you get in the shop itself. But if we crack this one open faster than the LP, like all of Neil Young's products, it follows the idea of being card sleeve. He's dropped plastic a long time ago, and not a digipack style one. This one instead, CD just on the face, and then yeah, this is exactly the same as the vinyl because I've seen other people posting it, so easier to display it like this. So all the lyrics there, roundabouts, and then a more formalized version, so you can sing along if you want. I wouldn't recommend it myself. And then finally we have Barn, a band, a brotherhood, a barn. This is a documentary directed by D.H. Lovelife, which is the pseudonym for the current Mrs. Young, Daryl Hannah. She directed this documentary. So Bernard Shaky is taking the back seat on this one. And it is quite simply a making of, duration 1 hour 30 minutes, region free. So yeah, so good making of. It was all recorded during the pandemic, so be interesting to see how close and intimate they all got. Now, the advantage of ordering direct from Greedy Hand is that you get a high-res download on release day, even if the album doesn't come. So I've been able to listen to it 2 or 3 times already, officially from Neil, and I took a few notes. So overall, strong album. Not a major change from the last studio album, Colorado, in 2018. It's had 1 million releases since then, but in terms of new material, this is not radically different at all. It's pretty much Colorado Part 2. It's the exact same lineup. Poncho Frank Prado, who joined Crazy Horse in '75 for Zuma. He retired after Psychedelic Pill in 2012. There's a few albums with Lucas Nelson and The Promise of the Real, and then when Crazy Horse reunited for Colorado, Nils Lofgren joined them. Nils, of course, of Grin, a great solo career, and probably most notably the A Street Band. But Nils has played with Neil going back to, I think he's on After the Gold Rush. I think he goes back that far. He's definitely on a couple albums after that. So yeah, I mean, he goes back further with the band than Pancho actually did. So it's kind of bizarre that the new guy in Crazy Horse is a veteran of playing with Neil Young longer than the guy he replaced, and a better guitar player as well, let's be honest, than was Lofgren. Although Pancho had a great grungy sound, which Nils has never had. They're two very different players. So 10 tracks, Song of the Seasons kicks us off, and you wouldn't think it's a Crazy Horse album if you just put that one on. It starts with harmonica. It's a very Stray Gators, Harvesty kind of sound. Accordion all over it. Nils plays that, of course. If you've seen the E Street Band, Nils often plays the accordion to open gigs. So yeah, that's it's kind of harmonica and accordion driven. Nice lyrical song, very poetic and romantic. But you know, if you were coming at this looking for Rust Never Sleeps, and you heard that as an opener, you'd be taken aback a bit. However, track 2, Heading West, starts with a much more heavy, traditional Crazy Horse kind of guitar sound, but with a very introspective set of lyrics. Neil had a song in '73 called Don't Be Denied, which was about reflecting on his childhood and growing up in Canada and his relationship with his mother. And this very much is a sequel to that, both sonically and lyrically. So it's quite interesting. It's almost a sequel song 50 years on, and now that he's lost his mother and he's an old man himself. It's he's looking at it from a different point of view. But yeah, it's quite interesting to have such an introspective song, but with the intense guitar of a Crazy Horse track. So you'd think that this would be the track that would have the more acoustic driven stuff, but no, it's a pretty well guitar. Track 3, Change Ain't Never Gonna. That's a very kind of mid-paced bluesy number. It's all about themes that Neil's been returning to for the last 10 years. Environmentalism, electric cars, government policies on climate change. There's nothing revolutionary in that. You've heard Neil Young doing this in the past 10 years. Musically though, as I say, it's more bluesy than Crazy Horse usually get, and if anything it sounds like something from This Note's From You. So 3 tracks in, and we've had 3 reasonably distinct styles from Crazy Horse, which isn't always the case. Crazy Horse can be accused sometimes of having a sound and sticking to it for better and worse. I think the addition of Nils Lofgren just gives them that bit more versatility. He's such a virtuoso that they can do a lot more, and Neil's looking to stretch the band a bit more. So I don't think they could have done this with Pancho still in the band, but hey. The next track is the one that people seem to like the most. It's called I can never pronounce this, Canerican. You'd think it would be Camerican, but he's combining Canadian and American. Canerican, rather horrible title, but main lyric: I am American, American is what I am, I cast my vote and I got my man. So I'm presuming he didn't vote for Trump there, maybe he voted for Kanye. He talks, again, very autobiographically in this one. ambulance blues out there. He goes back to join him, coming down from Canada to join Buffalo Springfield. I mean, it's that literal and on the nose. But he pins his colours to the mast on it very much, where he says, "I'm an American," because he is. He took American dual citizenship a few years back. And he, in the second chorus, says, "And I'm also Canadian." And in the third verse, I said chorus there, it's really verses, he says, "And I'm all colours." So he's pretty much saying I'm a human being, which it's Neil kind of responding to the racial issues of the past few years, that we're all human beings and we're all, it doesn't really matter about your colour or skin, or it shouldn't matter at least. So Neil's not identifying as an old white man. He's all colours, although he is pretty much the definition of an old white man. But it's a lovely thought, and it is a good track. It's a very good track. The most annoying thing about it, though, is at the end it starts a really heavy, and I mean a really heavy, crazy horse, Neil Young, traditional, crazy guitar solo, blistering, and then it fades out. The album is 1 LP, so to get 10 tracks onto that, they obviously have to be a certain length, to avoid making it a double. And this is one track where you feel like on another Neil Young album, maybe in the CD era, that might have been an 8-minute epic with some big guitar moments in it, but it's not. I could have used that, to be honest, at this point of the album. Excuse me, the phone's kind of making some noise here. Next up is Shape of You, which is a very strange song. It's very treacly, very, very saccharine, but it's kind of fun. It's a love song, a very upbeat love song about Daryl Hannah. And very explicit, stars scatter in the shape of you. He sings a million different ways about the shape of you, nothing to do with the Ed Sheeran song of the same name. And wonderfully, he even does some kind of yodely falsettos at points, which kind of liven affairs up. But it's very strange hearing Neil singing these very pure and honest love songs to Daryl Hannah after 40 years of hearing them sing them about Peggy Young. I mean, I found myself almost thinking, well, that's nice, singing about Peggy. Oh wait, I mean, for those that aren't aware, Neil left Peggy coming up for 10 years ago, and unfortunately she died of cancer within a couple of years. Exactly the same thing happened to Graham Nash. He left his wife Susan of 40 years for a woman who's about 45 years younger than him, and his ex-wife also died within 2 years of him leaving, so oops. David Crosby, the bad boy of CSMY, stuck with the same woman for all these years, even though they were both junkies for most of that time. What does that tell you? Do drugs, kids. I think that's the message there. Makes you loyal, if nothing else. They Might Be Lost. Now, first listen, I thought this was the worst track in the album. I thought this was nothing. I thought, where's the melody here? This is just strumming and no real story to it, no real inspiration. And after 2 or 3, I think it might be the best track in the album. It's got very oblique lyrics at times, but he sings about his future going up in smoke. He sings about things happening after 420, and guys should be there but aren't, and he's wondering if they might be lost. And the dirge-like quality of the guitar playing, it's acoustic based, makes you think this is a certainly not just a cannabis song, as the 420 implies, but some kind of drug deal gone bad kind of affair. It's more like Crime in the City from Freedom in that regard. It doesn't feel like an old hippie just wanting to get a smoke on. It feels more insidious, and the music's very melancholy and brooding and sludgy and doomy, even though it's acoustic. It's got a very distinct flavour to it, which at first I didn't think it had any flavour at all, and it's quite unique in the Neil Young pantheon. So yeah, it's a grower, definition of a grower, and even after 3 listens, I'm finding that to be the case. Human Race comes next, and this one is it's very heavy, but it's another climate change song. Again, he's going back to that well a lot in the last 10 years. But this one sounds exactly like something musically from Living with War. If you took the lyrics out and just played the backing track, you would think it was a track from Living with War. It sounds exactly like something like The Restless Consumer or After the Garden. It's got that distinct kind of sound. But instead of, do you want to impeach the president, the question here is, who's going to help the children of fire and floods, which is quite a poetic way of putting the troubles that climate change has caused to places like California and whatnot, which is one of the reasons Neil Young left California. He had friends that had lost everything through the big fires and whatnot, so he's bought the new place in Colorado and also has a house in Winnipeg again for the first time in 50 years. Last couple of tracks, or last 3 tracks, Tumbling Through the Years is a very piano-led, upbeat, fun song. The message of it is basically Bob Dylan's If Not For You, or George Harrison's If Not For You if you prefer. Nothing life-changing, but it's a very light, fresh, very jangly piano sound, and it's kind of a sorbet, because the next track is the one that, when you see Crazy Horse in the tin, you're going to be waiting for. So this is the almost pop song to get you ready for what's coming next. And what comes next is called Welcome Back, which is quite a meta title, because it's not just welcoming back the lyrical themes, but it's welcoming back the epic Crazy Horse song, which we haven't had on this album. Everything's been 3 to 4 minutes. This one's nearly 9 for the first and only time on the album. But it's not a fast-paced Crazy Horse song. It's more a slow, brooding one, with very precise stabs with the guitar rather than frenetic. Russ Never Sleeps and recently Down in the Rust Bucket kind of playing, nothing like that. It's more like Danger Bird from Zuma, or it's more like Cowgirl in the Sand rather than Down by the River kind of thing. So it is a loud Crazy Horse epic, but epic in scope rather than noise or intensity, but there is an intensity to it lyrically. Neil's usually very on the nose with lyrics. It's love songs or songs about a specific subject. You won't study him as a poet and kind of wonder what the metaphors are about. He's usually very intentionally straightforward about such things, but this he's very, very oblique and all over the place. So that lyric poster that I kind of made fun of actually will be quite handy for this one, because I think this is one that you will want to have a read over and go, what's he saying here? But he's kind of contrasting the heavy and the mellow extremes of his career, and in the guitar stabs, if you will, Nils Lofgren is following him beat for beat, almost in a double guitar sound like Wishbone Ash or Thin Lizzy, or I suppose in the metal world, Iron Maiden or Judas Priest, and that kind of technical proficiency to do so in one take, as most of these songs were recorded. Again, Poncho would not have been able to do that. He just wouldn't. He's not good enough intentionally. You know, he's a self-confessed garage rock player, but Nils Lofgren's, you know, able to do it no problem whatsoever. He's a wonderful guitar player, could easily rank amongst the most underrated guitar players in rock history. Wrapping things up, Don't Forget Love, which is a very sweet meditation. Sounds like something off of Silver and Gold, which, or I suppose Harvest Moon, you know, any one of those kind of acoustic albums, maybe Prairie Wind, where Neil basically says, listen, I know we've talked about climate change and whatnot, and you know, it's been a bit of an angry decade, and you know, we've got the pandemic. There's a line about people going around wearing masks, and you know, but he says basically, don't forget love, is the refrain that he keeps repeating. That every issue that he's fighting for essentially means nothing unless it's backed up by love in the first place, which I can get behind that. It's a very true message, and it's a very happy-ish message in the best possible way, where it's not just a platitude, it's realistic. It's you know, what is the point in any of this if we're not doing it out of love and kindness and care for others? You know, what is the point in trying to save the earth for people that we won't even know in 150 years, other than love for humanity and for the earth? And if that's idealistic, then so be it. It's unlike the last track. It is very on the nose lyrically, and it's a bit facile almost, but it's sweet with it. It's very sweet without being saccharine, so it's almost kind of Brian Wilson like, where Brian's lyrics will often, and he usually works with lyricists to achieve this, but are often very, again, I have used the expression on the nose about 100 times, but intentionally so. He's not trying to be clever. He's not trying to be Paul Simon with it here, you know, or Warren Zevon. You know, he's saying exactly what he means. He's not wanting to leave any room for manoeuvre. He wants you to understand what he's saying. So it's all backed up by love. And yeah, so Barn is the new one from Neil Young and Crazy Horse, and comes recommended. If you have liked the last Crazy Horse album, then you're going to love this one. If you are looking for one of the more epic Neil Young albums in terms of rockers, you will not find much here to love, but hey, just wait 10 minutes, there'll be another one along. Because Neil releases something every 2 weeks. Go back and buy Down in the Rust Bucket that only came out a few months ago. It's one of the loudest, most intense Neil Young releases ever. So you know, there is something for everyone with Neil. That's one of the reasons he's able to be so prolific but not get boring, because you know it doesn't stay in one place too long. So yeah. So I think that's pretty much comprehensively covered it. I've gone to half an hour, which I didn't plan to, but I thought I'd do a track by track, give my thoughts on it and give you a little unboxing, and yeah, hope you had a little insight into it, and give it a stream at least, and I'd recommend buying it, to be honest. It's a nice album. There's enough acoustic, sweet stuff on it that will be. I don't want to say, I was going to use the B word there, and boomers, it wouldn't upset, but there's enough there that isn't going to offend anyone sonically, but there's also enough there to remind you that you're still dealing with Crazy Horse. What I would like next from the Horse is a full-on guitar album, a Ragged Glory style thing. Not archival. I know we're getting the Toast archival release, an unreleased Horse album from the early 2000s. I want a Niels Lofgren album where Niels gets to go crazy with his guitar, basically, with Neil Young. I think that would be fascinating. We've never had that, and I think it's something that we really need. Nobody's getting any younger, so yeah. Well, I think this has gone on long enough. If you have endured listening to me droning on, then thank you very much, and love and mercy. I'll need to come up with one for each individual artist. I can't use Brian Wilson saying off for Neil Young, but well, eat a peach. Thanks very much. Take care.